Ladies and gentlemen, the wait is worth it. To render the keynote address, we have with us an eminent speaker. I want all of you watching us to please help me welcome, ladies and gentlemen, with a good round of applause. Let's welcome Miss Meenakshi Lekhi, the member of BJP, member of Parliament, the New Delhi parliamentary constituency. Well, if I talk about her, she's chairperson committee on public undertakings, Lok Sabha chairperson, Commonwealth women parliamentarian, the India region member, the House committee member, standing committee on urban development, so on and so forth. Well, she enrolled with the Bar Council of Delhi in the year 1990 and started practicing at the Supreme Court of India and also the Delhi High Court. Well, Ms. Lekhi, she's been a part, as we know, of many drafting committees for bills like Women Reservation Bill and also the problem of sexual harassment at workplace. She's been the chairperson of Special Task Force of Women Empowerment. She represented the media in the court to get the ban on media coverage of the case proceedings of the Nirbhaya rape case revoked. Well, she's been successful in that effort. Well, she is one promising woman who will be speaking to us. She took up the case of permanent commissioning of women officers in the Indian Armed Forces. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give it up to welcome the power personified, Miss Meenakshi Lekhi. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Shikha, and thank you, ET, for having me over for Women's Health Summit 2021. And only yesterday I was having a conversation with some doctors and healthcare workers in Acharya Bhikshu Hospital, where we were inaugurating an oxygen plant. So post-COVID, a lot of questions have come, and I think I'm also at an age where you've been through plenty of things yourself in life, and then certain decisions you come up with. And one such decision is the superwoman syndrome, which most of us suffer from. And most of us live our life and youth thinking I can do it all and I can do whatever. I'm not saying we cannot do it all and we are not able or capable, but we have to understand that the female body is different from male body, and there are associated changes and there are associated health issues which need to be addressed with age and with time, which unfortunately a whole lot of us tend to neglect. And from yesterday's conversation to today's health summit brings it all together. And on an academic front, I would say that human right to health is recognized in numerous instruments. And one such instrument being Article 25.1 of the UN Declaration of Human Rights, which affirms everyone has the right to a standard of living adequate for the health of himself and his family, including food, clothing, housing, and medical care and necessary social service. Now, when I enumerate these factors, when it comes to family, can you think of a family without a woman? Can you think of food on the table of any household without involving the woman of the house? Clothing, care for children, housing, medical care, and necessary social service. Invariably, medical service to social service are the areas where the workers themselves are women, and a whole lot of them, so they over-dominate these services. So when we talk of health issues, it's not just women in India, but women across the globe who suffer from health issues, and a whole lot of it is to do with our biology, which we tend to neglect and not accept. The emotional side, which is based on hormonal makeup of a person, impacts the female body differently. And many a times we do not even relate because of the superwoman syndrome that we are getting impacted on emotional and mental front with the kind of lifestyle we live, the kind of pressures we deal with. And then comes the real metabolic syndrome, and that metabolic syndrome will start impacting thyroid, will start impacting lipid profile, will start impacting weight gain, will impact childcare, childbirth, all kinds of problems. And that happens because at a right time, the right care has not been taken, and there is a huge neglect by the women themselves and people around them equally, because women themselves as a class, as a gender, those suffer from many disparities, ethnic or otherwise, and that impact is seen even in the healthcare sector. So improving how health outcomes will necessarily involve uh, focus on women health, and also it will lead to economic growth, because the quality of human capital will finally impact the social capital which every society needs, and will result in savings and investment. So any investment which is made on women health will lead to the social um, benefits are immense and lead to social saving as well, because if women are around and are taken care of and they are in good physical and mental condition, all this will result in social well-being of the society, and they can then face all kinds of challenges from global to regional to familial and national. So policies and declarations necessarily have to have an impact assessment on the female health issue. Substantial evidence exists already where a healthy population, a foundation for a sustainable social, economic, and environment development for peace and security is interrelated. So whenever we are discussing peace, we are discussing social security, we are discussing population surge, marriages at the right time, healthcare systems are all closely knit, and thus emphasis on healthcare would necessarily involve educating women themselves about the impacts or the side effects of uh, whatever conditions they exist, and creating knowledge base around their own physical needs, um, which can involve all kinds of risks. So I'm very happy that our government has chosen to work on menstrual hygiene, for example, which is such an important aspect. And before menstrual hygiene, toilets. I think a lot of people may say, what has toilet got to do with gender? Toilet is a need for men and women. But definitely absence of toilet impacts women differently than it impacts men, which a lot of feminists may not agree with, but I am a woman and a proud feminist too. So I feel, as I have always maintained, accepting the difference and not trying to be man is as much empowerment, which we all need. And all that comes with a greater deal of experiences of life when you go through life and you understand the impact. And I understand the impact because I always raise this question when we lack in the toilet, uh, number of toilets across. At that time, I used to always say this. I said, you see so many men defecating and urinating in the open. Have you seen women do that? So answer obviously is no, because the sense of shame which women possess, that itself will not allow them to do a certain things, because they become a commodity, and people might as well watch them do the things which is a normal course for a human being, men or women, irrespective. But it impacts female gender differently, and that is where I say there exists a difference between men and women, and we must understand that difference. And after accepting that difference, we can address that difference. So building toilets was one program which is not so much of an infrastructure program as much as it was a program for healthcare, and it has shown greater confidence, greater mental peace, and greater social security for females across the country, and I'm very, very proud of this particular program. And then came the menstrual hygiene program, then the gas, because menstrual hygiene is as important. It has a direct correlation with the childbearing age, confidence about yourself, education, school dropouts, etc. And again, having water in the toilets may sound something so silly, because most of us will take it for granted that toilets are supposed to have water, but that's not so across the country. So piped water supply is another thing which Government of India today through Jal Shakti Mantralaya is working on. And thus healthy environment is also something which women need to have. And a few actions may sound very small to the privileged eyes, but every small action done to assuage the problems of women has a very, very big impact on the women's health. And when we talk about women's health, then the lung capacity, especially with pandemic around, will have severity of action in case women were smoking so much of firewood smoke if they were cooking, as was the condition earlier. Now giving a few crore, 10, 12, 14 crore odd gas cylinders across the country in the rural area also has an impact on health of women, because we had such a twisted policy where we were giving gas cylinders only to households which were urban households and not providing for the rural households. So that kind of divide will lead to biases in the system and also neglect healthcare aspect of the women. Uh, as a person, I would say that the status, the social status to financial status also has a huge impact on women's health and the environment of work in which they uh, work. So there's a close association of cardiovascular diseases, diabetes, mental health, uh, mucoskeletal system, etc., all correlated. And that correlation is established even in, and then of course, amongst the well-heeled and better off, there is another set of pandemic, and that another set of pandemic would be at times related to wrong eating habits, not taking care of their health. So health is something which is not necessarily common factor amongst all. So a certain amount of physical exercise, a certain amount of dietary intake, the superfoods which now people have started integrating into their diets, which were earlier a common man's food or a common woman's food, was not even being eaten by so-called well-heeled and better off people. Now a greater awareness is being created around those subjects, and I'm very happy that we are working towards it. Thus, an integrated approach to the healthcare system is very, very relevant. Age factor is also something which I definitely wish to speak about. If we move from menopausal age to premenopausal to postmenopausal, the healthcare needs change, and the reproductive health, which is so relevant when a woman starts menstruating to the time when she has given birth to the children. Uh, the moment you touch 30, there is something called biological age. We all say age is just a number. Yes, it's just a number, absolutely right, and it should not impact your aspirations or your capacities and capabilities or your spirit for that matter. I always say, I said, I'm a teenager even now because I love to do all the things I used to love doing when I was a teenager. I still like to climb the trees. I still like to pluck some mangoes. I'll still like to be on the swing. But my physical ability obviously has changed and depleted. And today I try to do Shirshasana also in the morning because I said, let me test myself. So I managed to do something with the help of the wall next to me. But this is just, I'm sharing a personal instance when you have to keep challenging yourself from health perspective, because age definitely has an impact on our body. And perimenopausal to postmenopausal has its own impact. So the kind of changes which women go through, I don't think men go through that, or they have to go through so much in life that when you, the kind of consciousness, at least I can relate to that. I try to make young women not so conscious, but comfortable with themselves. If I see a young person who is mensurating or about to mensurate or one of those things, I'd like to talk about those things and make the person comfortable, so that learn to accept yourself. This is natural. This is how God has created a female gender, and this is how life is going to be lived and progress, because we have a gender called women, and we are not asexual elements who will keep multiplying asexually. We have to mate and multiply. So you need a female gender and you need a male gender. And for female gender, you need ovulation, and that is directly connected to menstruation. So at the time when young children are going through menstruating cycle, uh, the health issues are there, from hygiene to hormonal changes in the body, and they need that kind of mental support so that they can cope with that stress. And there is a stress both on mental faculty and physical faculties. Then comes the childbearing age. So when you are bearing a child, and you may be healthy or everything, but the fact you're carrying a life inside you can change you both physically and emotionally, and you need support at that stage. And the risk of giving birth to a child has its own health subjects and health issues. No, feeding a child will have a certain kind of physical will repercussion on female body, and not feeding a child may lead to cancer. And people need to talk about lactating mothers and lactation. No man has to go through these phases and these issues, and that's why I'm saying female body is different, women are different both mentally and physically, and best is to accept that. And after reproductive timeline, and you kind of completed your childbirth stage, then and you're touching your middle ages, at that time you're perimenopausal. Post 30, mid 30s, you are already, your hormonal levels have started depleting. So all kind of problems start with that, from thyroid to the stress related hormones to adrenaline dropout to all kind of problems. So you need different types of foods. You need care at that stage. You need consultations at that stage, holistic approach, and somebody can help you around that time. You can pull through that phase. That then reaches perimenopausal. When you're in perimenopausal stage, can lead to diabetes. It can have repercussions, which are metabolic disorders. You may start gaining weight for no fault of yours. Postmenopausal, your bones are brittle. You have less omega-3. You need a different kind of diet. You need your a different kind of exercise regime. And with all the effort that you can put in, and you may be high in spirits, still there will be a movement to moods to everything gets impacted. So end of the day, I feel whatever be the income groups, whatever be the age and stage in life, whatever be the status, and people may talk about size zeros to whatever. I'm not someone who believes in it, but I would rather believe that with um, the kind of profession you're from, you should be able to perform to the best of your ability. Now, obviously, if you're a model or you're into uh, uh, different kind of business, you have to look a certain way, and you have to do everything to look a certain way. But if you are a normal person like me who has a normal life, then size zero is something which one doesn't need to bother about. But one should be able to walk 10, 20 kilometers a day, irrespective, and stand in the sun and work both physically and mentally, and have that mental alertness till the end of your day, and do whatever it needs, because I think those are health parameters for a person my age and my stage of life. And I wish every woman gets that opportunity to stay mentally alert, be able to give the best outputs, and uh, uh, be helpful to the society all around and help everyone around. Because if you're happy, cheerful, in control, you can do a lot, and that's what we all need to set up ourselves for. Keep working, keep doing well. Jai Hind.
Miss Lekhi, we just loved your refreshing and ageless spirit. Thank you for sharing your experience, take, and your openness around women's health. I think, leading figures such as you and Miss Anita Bhatia, Miss Kiran Mazumdar Shaw, Miss Amira Shah, Dr. Swati Piramal, who were also present and spoke to us this morning. I think your presence has been so empowering to the summit. Thank you so much. And here's
Thank
to
you.
all the Nari Shaktis, just accept the way you are, as Miss Lekhi just said. So it was hearty to have you, ma'am. Thank you very, very much. Wish you all the success
Thank
and good
you.
health. And on that note, ladies and gentlemen, we are quickly striding and rushing towards initiating a trilogue with all of you. Allow us just a bit. We'll get connected to our speakers and we'll be right there at the screen.